Welcome to Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball. I'm Dan O'Day along with Steve Romano. Hey, Steve.
How's it going, Dan?
It's going okay. Technical difficulties and all. So, Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball is about Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, and baseball. And we are in a Roto League. It's a 10-team league. We've been doing it for 18 years. 16 years we've drafted live in Vegas with an auctioneer. It's a fun league, pretty much an active league, but we're starting to see some separation between the top and the bottom of the league right now, aren't we, Steve?
We are, yes. There's some teams that are the top four, and then the middle, and then the bottom. There's like three tiers.
Yes, there are. The Furies are in first place with 73.5 points, followed by the Sony Scrappers. My team is 70 points. And then a team that's been playing well all season, really. The Highland Park Crushers, 69.5 points. And then Ape, 63.5 points. And Seatown at 61.5 points. So and then Tommy Baseball in sixth place at 59.5 points. I mean, that's all still pretty tight. 1 through 6 is only 14-point difference.
Yeah. I mean, one, two, three. I mean, the top three are separated by 3 points,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then 6.5 points down is the next tier. And then you got another three teams within 4 points of each other there. And then from there, it's 15 points down to the bottom tier of moonshots and the stinkoids. That would
Nothing
that
like
would be like
those
our, you know,
those stink
the
coins,
Mar
man.
our yeah, the Motown group. And let's bring it on, or let's hear it from Moonshots and the Stinkoids. You know, just
Well,
four bad
I
teams.
a couple things I'm worried about our league is that the bottom teams are your team has risen up. You're now in seventh place. You're 45 points. You're still, you know, a good 14.5 points behind Tommy
Hey,
Baseball.
but 2 days ago, there was a time I saw it. I was at like 50, and the next person ahead of me at that time when I looked, it was Mike at 59 and a half. So it was like 9.5 points there. So I mean, it can happen. It's just you just need those few days of good stats. You need your players to play good for 3 or 4 days in a row to make another good run.
Yes. And, you were talking about possibly bailing on the season, but I think seeing yourself at 50 points the other day, being at 45 points, you realize now that, hey, I still have at least a third of the season to look at to see if I can get a little higher.
It's definitely I have to decide if it's false hope or not, though.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you're gonna act, then you just gotta fucking act. If you're
Yeah.
you know, or if you're gonna stay the course, stay the course. Like if I'm gonna trade some of my guys that I know I can get quality returns for, I just kind of want to do it as soon as possible. So we'll
Uh,
see.
One thing I'm worried about is some of the bottom teams losing interest because Big Al's long balls at 29.5 points. He's had some injuries. He's had some players play very bad to start the season out. But I've been look
Very bad.
very bad. But I've been looking at his team, and Pascantino has been really hot for the past week or two, but he's been on his bench. So I don't know if he's just over it or what.
Well, well, I'm sure he is to some degree. But I mean, if any of those guys listen to this, that they should be doing the same thing I'm doing.
Yep.
Like, do you have good players that are expensive that you're not going to keep, but they're good? Fucking trade them for cheap guys. Start some type of rebuild and be active about it. Go out and look at some other teams and be like, I want, you know what, these are some guys I want, and I'm willing to give up somebody way better. It's just that he's expensive and I'm not going to keep him. I mean, they should be doing that at least.
Yeah, and I think definitely, it's hard when your team's not doing well and you lose interest. But Pascantino, I mean, listen to this. This has been on the bench, and not to dig on anybody, but these are his last whatever games: 2 for 4, 2 for 4, 2 for 4, 1 for 5, 1 for 3, 2 for 4, 1 for 1 for, and with 2 runs, 1 run, 1 run. One ribby, two ribbies, three ribbies, one ribby. I mean, he's been playing well. He's back to playing pretty much as you expect him to, and he's been on the bench. I know Eddie's also missed a few starts. He got a good start from Gossman today, which was nice to see. So I think you do start to lose interest when your team's at 29.5 points, a third of the way through the season. It's tough to keep. That's one thing about head to head that's different than Roto. You know what I'm saying? I mean, head to head, it's a weekly thing. You do fall behind, but you're still kind of in it longer. You know what I'm saying? Roto, you're at 29.5 points, a third of the way through the seasons. You're thinking, oh, man.
Yeah. Well, I just looked at I can sort by Eddie's on the players thing. I got it set up, and I'm looking where I look at Eddie's team, Pasquantino, over the last 2 weeks. Yeah, 354 with an 892 ops, right? But when I go to fantasy stats accrued by Eddie, yes, Pasquantino has been on his bench the entire time.
The entire time. So Eddie is, not shuffling guys in and out. I totally understand losing interest, but, he's lost interest is basically what's going on. And the Sluggers are ahead of him with 37 points, also way back. Another team. Now, that guy's got 3 championships, doesn't he? Sluggers?
Yeah, Slugger's team though just fell apart recently.
Yep.
And it fell apart hard because he
Hard.
was he was,
Top
20
six.
points ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was. And
And now
now
he's
he's
10 points behind me.
10 points behind you. He's really fallen hard. Looking at him real quick, I don't know if it's pitching or his hitting. Let's see. The slugger is pretty even. 19.5 points batting, 17.5 points pitching. Um, Eddie, 16 points pitching, 13.5 points batting. You're starting even out, 28 points pitching, which is decent, 17 points batting. So that's come up a little for you. I think that's where you gained your points, is in batting.
Yeah, I was at 10 or 10.5.
Wow.
Remember?
Yeah, I do actually. And then Baldy at really extreme splits of 34 points batting and 7 points pitching. 7 points pitching. That is bad.
He is going for it, right? Because the lowest you can have in a pitching or hitting is 5.
5.
He has
Yeah.
7.
Yeah. Let's figure out where he is sold. He's sold. He's second to last in solds. So there's one. And he's now he's last in ERA. He's last in whip. So it must be K's. No, he's last in K's. So it must be wins. Yes, he's second to last in. So yeah, he's got a chance to pull off the 5 finger last place category finish.
Oh,
That is bad. That's really sad to see. Baldy's actually a competitor who plays through. Um, Real quick, Highland Park. I'm looking at splits because we're a third of the way through the season, and whose splits are the most even. Fury's 39 points batting, 34 points pitching. Pretty
oh
even
yeah, he's
splits.
doing well. His pitching has gotten hot because
It's
his
gotten
pitching was
hot,
what was holding him back.
holding him back absolutely. And then I'm behind him. I have 45 points pitching, by far the most, but only 25 points batting, which is really not
Wow.
good. Yeah, that's really a big split. Highland Park is the exact opposite. He's got 49 points batting. We'll talk about that in a second. And 21 points pitching. So he's the exact opposite of me. But let's break down that 49 points batting because the most he can have batting would be 50.
That, yeah, Devers. He's on Devers, and he has Judd.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the most consistent, awesome player, and he has the hottest, awesome player.
He does. He's only second in home runs. He's first in all the other categories. So he's having a great offensive season. He had a good draft. Ape is next, 32 points batting, 31.5 points pitching. He's been pretty even stat wise the whole season. And then Mike next, 25.5 points batting, 36 points pitching. And then look at Tommy Baseball, the top six, 39 points pitching, only 20.5 points batting, but he's got a great staff. He's in second place when it comes to pitching stats.
Yeah, he does have a staff. We liked it. We liked it at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, he had a good draft. He really did have a good draft. And looking at those Highland Park Crushers, they are playing really well. We talked about their team before: Contreras, Herrera, Goldschmidt, Holiday,
And
Machado, De La Cruz. Is it Neto or Neto? Devers, Judge, Robert, Stowers, Grisham, Volpe is on the bench. Soderstrom. I mean, Wilson. Just really good offensive team.
an excellent team. I
Yeah,
mean, a couple of those guys, like Soderstrom has cooled off for sure, but I mean, he got all of those, and Garrett got all of those stats. So yeah, that was excellent. And then the Stowers pickup was excellent for sure.
Yeah, that was a good
Yeah,
pickup for sure. He's had some good pickups. He's playing attention. He's doing really well. It's been a good season for him. Now I want to talk about a couple trades.
the
Yeah, go ahead, real quick.
oh, well, no, go ahead. Yeah, let's do
I was just
trades.
going to bring up some trades. So we had our first money trade of the season. We had Zach, who's really burning. I think at least he spent at least $10 on his pickups on catchers alone. Um,
Right.
he's running out of money, so he made a trade for money.
Let's
He
look at the money real quick.
Yes, I
Right, the
will.
money
Zach
is
only has $43 left, and I believe that's after the $5 trade he just made. He made a trade. He traded Maul from the Rangers for France, the hitter, to Baldy. Baldy traded him $5 in France. Got Maul, who's pitching. I think he's a top 100 pitcher right now. Baldy needs the pitching, as
yeah.
as we reviewed. It was a good trade for Baldy. He picked up France on the waiver wire,
Well,
and
wasn't Ball one of those two Texas pitchers, him and
yes, that's
Evaldi?
exactly
Yeah,
right. So Maul's pitching
yeah,
great. So that was a great trade for Baldy. Just cost him $5. Zach dropped France within a day or two because he just wanted the $5. So
yep.
with that $5, he still only has $43.
Wow.
I shouldn't
Yeah,
talk too much though. I only have $11 more at $54 left.
I see that.
Yeah, and then next up, going from the bottom is Highland Park Crushers with $60 left. Three very active teams, three teams at the top. That's for there you go. The three top teams have the least amount of money left.
Yep, and you figure what we're about. If we're 33% of the way through the season, I mean, if you're doing it tit for tat, you'd still have about $67 left,
Right,
you
right.
know?
Yeah, so I'm a little behind. Zach's way behind. Garrett, the Highland Park Crushers, pretty much right on. But as I always say to
Yeah,
you, I
everyone else
always
is
feel,
fine.
yeah, everybody else is fine. I always say to you, that beginning of the year, you always spend more money because you're trying to fix your team after the draft or find a hot guy
Yep,
or whatever it is. Um, and everyone else is doing fine, 72, 73, 77. Tommy Baseball is 67, under 70, 81, 91. The Sluggers, $91 left. And Big Al, $88 left. The two teams at the bottom of the standings have spent the least amount of money.
hmm. Yeah.
Not surprising. Another trade I wanted to bring
Yes.
up. I'm just saying a couple things I wanted to bring up. The trade I made and the trade you made. A couple other trades that happened this year. So I traded Ryan Hoskins, Joe
Yep.
Ryan, and Jordan Romano. Now Romano,
No,
we're in a Solds
no,
league. What? Yeah.
no, it was Emilio
Oh, I
Pagan.
got Jordan Romano. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Emilio
Ryan
Pagan, Reese Hoskins, Joe Ryan.
Pagan was the one I traded him, right? And and I got back Stott from the Phillies, whose second base is
And Jordan
shortstop,
Romano.
and Romano I got back, who I dropped immediately because in a Solds league at the time he was behind Alvarado and he had blown up a few times and he is now the
Yep.
closer, but he just blew up the other day again actually. And I just don't trust him. We're in a league in Solds where I think I could get somebody better. But I just want to review that trade. I think I'd rather have Ryan Hoskins and Joe Ryan over Stott.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely you would.
absolutely. And that was
Unless
not a good
somehow
trade.
if Stott like could steal 40 bases for you, then all right, okay, and you need stolen bases, then it changes things.
Well, that was the reason I got him, and I am behind. And he did have 32 last year and 31 the year before. So I'm still hoping he has 10 this year. So he's kind of on pace for 30, but
Yeah,
that's what I'm
he's on
hoping
pace for
for.
30.
Yeah, he's on pace for 30. So, but still not a good trade. And then your trade was also you traded Teoscar Hernandez
Yep.
for
For Jake Berger and
yeah,
Christian Campbell.
and Campbell slowed down, hasn't he?
Campbell is batting 100 over his last 70 at bats.
Oh, can you say rookie?
He's
Yeah,
he's
he's hit the
seven
wall.
for 70.
Oh my god, that is just awful. But Jake Berger, back from the minor league, has found a streak. Is hitting well.
Yeah, he was so bad that they sent him to the minors, but he was only down there for like what, 8 days, 9 days. They brought him back up, and he's been great since.
Yeah, absolutely. And but in hindsight, do you still make that trade? Because Teoscar is Hernandez is who he's playing like he
Oh yeah.
should,
Well, he was, but then he strained his oblique.
but he's back.
So, oh, he's back. Teoscar
Yeah,
Hernandez is back.
yes, yes,
Are
yes.
you sure?
I am positive. I am so positive. I will give you stats to prove it. He's been back since 5/19. He's gone 0 for
Oh, he has
4, 1
been.
for 3, 2 for 5, 1 for 4, and 1 for 4. No one homer and three doubles, so he's definitely back.
Yep, I see. He's 5 for 20.
Yeah, he's playing well. So in hindsight, do you still make that trade?
No, I do not make that trade.
No, right? No way. You don't
I
make
mean,
that trade.
I didn't. I didn't expect Campbell to hit 314 the whole season, but but I didn't expect him to have a 3 week stretch where he batted 100.
Yeah. And so I
So,
also not a good trade for me. And there's another thing I wanted to bring up. I was looking at my team and I picked up Kyle Manzardo for $5 like in the first week of the season. It's five
yep, I
dollars. You only have
remember.
100. Yeah. And listen, he's got 10 homers, 27 ribbies, only 20 runs. But he's only batting 216. He's slowed down. He was playing a lot better the first month of the season. But
Yep.
I'm thinking, of that $5, but I just thought it was interesting because I was going over my team and I picked up this guy. His name is Sheets, Gavin Sheets from the San Diego Padres, and I picked him up for $1.
Okay.
And Gavin Sheets also has 10 homers, like Manzardo, but he has 31 ribbies, 21 runs. He's batting 283. He's come on strong. He's a top 100 player, Gavin Sheets. He's number 87 right now in the season. And it's just interesting. I spent all that guy on Manzardo because he's playing so well in the first month, and later on I spent $1 on the Sheets, and he's out playing them. It's just interesting the people you pick up and how they play and how long they play well or how long they don't play well.
True. Though Manzardo did have he was like a top prospect, a minor league guy. So there was more conversation about him.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes, proven commodities who have been proven to be totally like, slightly above mediocre, they could have like a 2 month streak and still no one's going to grab them because no one expects it to last,
yeah,
or they might be like, well, it's too late now. If I was going to buy it, I should have bought it a month ago. If I
yeah.
pick him up now, he'll probably be done in a week. And I think that
Absolutely.
happens a lot.
I think it happens a lot. And like a guy like Gavin Sheets, who's really hot right now, like I said, he could cool off. He's 29. He's never really done this before. Or I heard he worked on his swing and he changed his swing on the off season, and so he could have his best year ever. So real quick on the games played and innings pitched, who's behind? I can probably just guess who's ahead and who's behind.
Well, let's see if I go here to my
I'm going to
team
guess
totals
that the
thing.
top teams innings pitched are my team, the Stony Scrappers, and Garrett's team, the Crushers.
No, it's you, then me. So you're
Whoa.
at 469, then I'm at 458,
Wow.
then 8 Apocalypse is at 441, Tommy Baseball's at 440. Baseball Furies is at 439, and the Highland Park Pressures are at 437.
Wow, kudos to
So
him.
one,
He's
two,
slowed it
three, four,
down.
five, six. Yeah, he's at sixth. Though
He's
granted, like, three, four, five, and six are all like within 4 innings of each other. So
wow.
he could be in third after one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's really interesting. And what about games played or at bats? How about at bats?
We're looking at bats. Well, Rick is first at 2,795. And then Zach at 2,774. So he's 21 behind. Then you're third at 2,758. So what, you're 16 behind second, and second was 21 behind first. Then Garrett's at 2,701. He's 57 at bats behind you.
Wow.
And then, yeah, and he's like got the greatest offense on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Eddie at 2692. I'm at 2671. 2661 for Baldy, 2634 for Mike, 2629 for Hunter, and Tommy is last with 2552. So he's 243 at bats. No, is that right? Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. He's 243 at bats behind Rick with
Wow.
2,795, 2,552. Damn.
Wow. So, and as we said, his pitching has been good and his hitting is behind. So, Tommy needs to get those games played.
Yeah, and if you sort by games played, because at bats is not as controllable, but as games played are as the fantasy manager. Um, Zach's first with 750 games, hitting games, and you're second at 743.
Wow.
Then Rick's at 737. I'm at 727. Garrett's at 719. So
Where's
he's
Tom?
30. Tom is last at 701.
So, a quick
So
analysis, really good pitching staff. His hitting, maybe not bad, just not enough at bats and games played.
yeah, realistically, he needs at least 20 more games played to be like in the middle of the pack. And he's like 50 games behind first.
Wow. So yeah, it's interesting. So he needs to start rotating people on their days off or trying to catch up a bit if he wants to catch up. So it's very interesting. I think all those numbers really add up, and it is very telling. How many innings and who's where in the standings. Real quick before we stop the DraftMasters fantasy baseball talk is pickups that stuck out this week. The past week pickups. We're not going to go through all of them, but a couple pickups that I'll throw a couple out there. Then you can throw a couple out there. Is his name pronounced Quiro or Caro? The catcher for the White Sox. I just want to bring up because Zach picked him up and dropped Ballesteros, another catcher pickup, and drop another dollar spent on a catcher. The Furies probably up to $12 to $15 spent on catchers this year.
Yeah, I was shocked when he dropped the Cubs guy
Yeah,
because he's so highly thought of as a hitting catcher, though he's also thought of as a terrible fielding or behind the plate catcher.
right. And he might not
Um,
get. He may be playing elsewhere, may not getting a lot of time played. But he went across town and picked up the White Sox catcher.
yeah, and then when I saw, I was like, oh, well, I was like, oh, why would Zach drop that guy? Oh, because he got that guy. Gotcha. Yeah, once again, he's just like whatever you can call it when you're like, just jumping from stone to stone across the river. And he's just like from catcher
Absolutely.
to catcher.
I just cannot believe how many catches he's gone through. It's been fun watching. And then, real quick, before your turn to pick up, Vargas, also from the White Sox, was picked up by Ape, and Crawford of the Seattle Mariners was dropped. Any pickups for you that stick out? I only bring that up because Vargas is getting a lot of playing time and has the potential to have a decent season for the White Sox.
I thought it was interesting that Rick picked up David Bednar.
Yeah,
He was pitching well the past few weeks, and it's a Souls league, but I also know how much that guy's been shit on for a year and a half. So you've really got to like overcome your mental the mental aspect of it to actually submit that claim on somebody who's been so disliked for a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another one that stuck out to me
Well,
is go ahead. What are you going to say?
well, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to bring
I
up your
made a
your pickup
pickup,
of
and I
lighter.
oh yeah, lighter. Well,
Yeah.
also on that same day, I picked up lighter. I dropped Cameron Meisner, the outfielder from Tampa. He's gotten super cold. That didn't last long. Um, Picked up lighter for a Souls guy, and he's been pitching great.
Yep.
And then,
Yep.
but that same day, I picked up Taylor Ward, who I've never had before, I don't think.
Yes. So I was looking at your pickup. I almost picked him up a couple times. That really low average, which is actually up in the 220s or something now. It was lower, but he has a slew of RBIs.
Yeah. Like I was like, I saw it that it was kind of a balance out if you look at those two trades together or those two moves together. It was like dropping a pitcher, picking up a pitcher, dropping an outfielder, picking up an outfielder. Um, but yeah, when I was like, oh, well, why am I keeping this Meisner guy? I think he's over. And look at Ward's numbers. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah,
Ward's
why
numbers
am
are
I not
great. He's
grabbing this guy?
tied for 13th with 37 RBIs. That's tied for 13th in the major leagues. He's got 15 homers, which is on pace for over 40. He's batting 224, but we're
And
living in a time and age where that's not that bad.
and he's the 56th ranked player. Like that's what I'm saying. It's every now and then those guys are out there, and I
Yeah.
think Taylor Wood's one of them. Like
Yeah.
especially for you Southern California Angel guys,
Right.
like
I know. I'm
he's not
kicking myself.
he's
I
yeah,
could use offense. Absolutely.
like he's nothing special. And even if he is hot for a week, it's just a week. But at some point you look at it and you're like, well, he's a top 60 player and he's on pace for 45 home runs and 90 runs and
Yeah.
100 and you're like I well I might as well. I mean, especially for me because I'm at the bottom of the pack. There's no risk for me. It's a
Right.
win. It's all win, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, sure, let's see what happens. I'll take a chance.
I love it. I think it's a great pickup. I'm a little jealous. I was pissed off when you picked him up. I went and looked at the stats and went, I should have picked him up. And you spent $2 to do it, making sure you got him. Another pickup was Lowe. Brandon Lowe was picked up by Ape, and he dropped Polanco. Started out so great for the Mariners, slowing down. He could get hot again, but nope. Rick punted him. Said, "I'm done with him."
I was First of all, I was shocked. I mean, I
I
know
was
he
too.
had cooled down, but then I did go pull up his splits and look at his splits, and it was like drastic. Like I mean, it's his ops in the first month is over 1,100, and then his ops in this month of May is like five something. So yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't know he was that cold, but he is pretty cold.
he's cooled off a lot. So some interesting pickups this week. I tell you what, Steve, the season, a third of the way through the season, I'm a little worried about the bottom teams staying active. Of course, I hope they trade or pick up some good players for the future. But I will say the top of the league is one of the tighter races. And a team like you, who's like, I was just at 50 points, still looking like, hey, I can still rise.
Yeah, but yeah, I could. I mean, like, can I make the money? I don't know, but it's one of those things. Even like last year, like Rick, right? Like he started out, he was bad for a long time, and while everyone's battling up at the top for money positions, Rick quietly, like, kind of. I mean, I forget where he finished, but for a guy who was in 10th for a large chunk of the year,
Yeah,
when you raise up to like sixth, that's a win.
that's a win.
That matters.
And here's another thing. When you do that, you're usually picking up players that are good and usually that are going to help you raise up to six and maybe keep for the next year. You know what I'm saying? You're picking up people who are
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm keeping this guy next year. He helped me. So it's a great race. It's a great league. Really excited. I'm Dan O'Day. That's Steve Romano. That's Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball Draft Masters. Thanks for listening.
Have a good one.